Previously on Goshen Man. Oh wait, wrong one. Why did you visit Mexico? Destination wedding. Then the wedding happened. It's a wedding for two people you don't know or care about that haunts me to this very day. Let's write our first lesson on how to racially profile Mayans. There's Mayan ruins that I enjoyed a bit more. Coco Bongo. Lizards. 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 And he keeps playing it on the ferry! When I left off, we were heading off to a different town south of Cancun called Akumal, which is a pretty small town with a couple of resorts along the beach. And, you know, driving along this main highway, you see like all these massive resorts that aren't like really even that close to anything. I went and looked at some on Street View, and it's crazy seeing the progression of time of like pure forest to that being gone to then there's being a straight resort there. So we passed by a ton of resorts before arriving at our small little vacation apartments basically in Akumal. This was a pretty cool place to stay. It was a bit isolated, but it's kind of more like we were staying in a house than a resort. And the beach was like right there. We had a pool right next to the beach, because you know. And the lizards are back. This time they're coming right up to us on the porch. Pretty nice this day to relax, just kind of sit in a hammock. Definitely not thinking about any scrub brushes or anything. Also in our apartment there's these like comically oversized apples. So that was cool, and whatever these were supposed to be. Also this day there was like a bunch of butterflies everywhere in like the air. They were there in Cancun, they were here in Akumal, they're like all over the place, and then they weren't there any other day. They showed up one day and were gone the next. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. Being that our hotel thing was pretty isolated, we decided, you know, walk all the way along down the beach to try and find somewhere to eat. I like this beach a bit more than like some of the resort beaches, because you know, it's still been combed a little bit. In the pile of dead seaweed was pretty much right next to where we were, so not the most ideal situation there, but what are you gonna do? There's a lot of seaweed, like a lot. It was cool walking down this beach and seeing like hermit crabs. There's also like this turtle nesting site, and also this line of ants and more crabs. Hermit crabs are neat. And speaking of creatures on the beach, what is that? A capybara?
Okay, I pull up, hop out at the after party. You and all your friends say they love to get naughty.
Actually, it's probably an agouti since, you know, they're A, smaller, and B, capybaras aren't found in Mexico. Now, what's cool in Mexico is, like, all the beaches were, like, public. You could, like, pretty much just walk all up and down them. The access points on the beach was a bit more difficult. While we were trying to figure out a way to get off the beach, we ended up stumbling upon this abandoned resort, which was, kind of neat. You know, heard some random noises in the forest. Hopefully there's birds, you know. Hopefully. And I saw an NFT in real life. 2 dead memes back to back. We eventually just snuck through a different resort and got off the beach. And we found, like, pretty much just ate at the closest place outside of a resort. And, you know, this is a place that some of the locals like to hang out. And by locals, I mean old retirees from America. That's generally what they called themselves, though, which felt a bit like, okay, sure, man. But that was some of the best food I had on that trip was at that place. And they were like, oh, this is a real, like, kind of hidden place here. I'm like, really? It's like a block from the nearest resort, which just goes to show people don't really like to leave them. I even took a picture suited for a grainy menu. It was a pretty good place to eat, and I was like, dang, thankfully we're gonna stay here for a few days. I'd be willing to walk down the beach again to experience this. Then, like, the owner had, like, the waitress's boyfriend come out and start singing for us, and also the locals had left, so we were, like, the only people there at this point. And then there's this guy singing to us. Like, he wasn't a bad singer, it was just, like, a really awkward experience. I did not really want to go back after that. And we walked on back down the beach in like pretty much just darkness. I saw this crab scurrying across it and I hit with my flashlight, stunned it. Alright, this day we're heading off to another Mayan site, this time Ekbalam. Now, as I mentioned in the last video, a pretty common thing to do alongside these tours is also visit a cenote, and this time we went to the cenote beforehand. And on the drive there, we were told how to racially profile Mayans for the 3rd time. I realized in the last video I forgot to mention the 2nd time, which was at Chichen Itza. So the first time was our driver Chichen Itza, 2nd time was our tour at Chichen Itza, 2 different people, and our 3rd time was our drive to Ekbalam. pretty common thing on these tours. You know, we get to the cenote, and we have like this Mayan cleansing ritual to ward off evil. And I look profoundly unhappy. One of the things that's interesting about this cenote is that you can be lowered down into it. Do a little bit of the geology of the Yucatan. The Yucatan Peninsula is like mostly limestone. That's like kind of like the stone that makes up a lot of it. If I remember correctly, most of the Yucatan was underwater millions of years ago, so there's like all these limestone caves. It's kind of like a result of that. Now, a couple more facts about cenotes. The Mayans believed that they were like portals to the underworld. I was able to get some video of the cave fish, hopefully. It's kind of cool. We're not supposed to wear sunscreen into the cenotes because actually a lot of the local villages get their drinking water from these. And that gets into a Mayan stereotype that they have kidney stones more often because of like, there's a lot of calcium in the water. That was just more of like a circumstance thing and less of a genetic thing. We leave the cenote, eat lunch, and then finally head on over to the Mayan site of Ekbalam. This one had quite a bit less modern infrastructure around it, not quite as popular as Chichen Itza. And like a bit more of that, you know, even though it was like sunny, clear day out, you're actually allowed to climb up this little pyramid right here. And we're able to get kind of a view, and we're able to see the big pyramid of Ekbalam, which is actually taller than the pyramid at Chichen Itza, but it's a little bit less complete. And then we head on over to the pyramid, and we're actually allowed to go up this one, which is pretty cool. Now, at this time, I've been running up hills probably every other day. You know, I looked at this thing, I'm like, I bet I can climb up this entire thing in a minute. I could not. Yeah, the steps on this thing were very steep. I'd say I got about 40 seconds of just like kind of full force before my legs were like, please stop. I kept pushing on to the top, didn't really stop. And when I got to the top, I thought I was going to die of heat exhaustion. This is what the title is referencing, how I almost die of heat exhaustion. When you saw the title, what do you think it was going to be? Be honest. Anyways, pretty cool view from the top here. You're able to see like the whole jungle, and see that the Yucatan is very flat, and a single drink of water made me want to immediately vomit. I was trying not to vomit on this ancient Mayan ruin. So yeah, beautiful view. I probably shouldn't have tried to climb it as fast as possible, but you know, I recover after a couple minutes, and then kind of begin the journey back down, which is also kind of precarious because again, the steps are steep. And check out a couple of these little shrines on the side of the temple. There's something about killing rulers in these. This is what happens when I record the audio 6 months later, is that I barely remember anything. But unfortunately, didn't have that much time to check out the rest of the site. Kind of just had time to go up and down. I had to kind of rush back to the van. But yeah, I think I like Ekbalam a bit more than Chichen Itza. You know, it's less crowded. You can like kind of climb onto things. Like you used to be able to do it at Chichen Itza, but then they're like, ugh. I guess, you know, they're eroding it too much, but since this one is a bit less known. Next, I decided to visit another ancient Mayan site, this time Tulum, which is next to the city of Tulum, which is a pretty big tourist town. Took a van down there, got another tour, and I know what you're thinking, Mayan ruins? Did you learn how to racially profile Mayans? Yes, we did. This is the 4th time if you've been keeping track. Here's the thing. I think most people usually only visit, like, one Mayan site whenever they go down to the Yucatan, because, like, they pretty much tell the same information about Mayans at like every single one of these. So I'm like, okay, you know, it's hot out. These are pretty much the same things we've heard, you know, a little different things here and there, specifically, you know, talking about the city of Tulum, how like on the coast and etc. and like how that made it special. Yeah, a lot of iguanas here, like a lot of iguanas, which as you know, can't go wrong with iguanas. There's like, it's crazy how many iguanas there are everywhere, like. And here we see the famous Mayan pipe structure. Tulum does have very good views of the coast, though, I will say. This one's pretty famous because there's like this, apparently like, oh, you gotta go get the Instagram shot overlooking the cliff here. Check it out. Yeah, not a lot to say, you know, it's a Mayan site. You could like make a bingo board with like all the things they say at Mayan sites, and in fact I have. So screenshot the video if you ever go down to the Maya land and go on one of these tours. Play Maya Land Tour Bingo. I don't have a lot to say about Tulum, you know. There were titty mugs though. I'm gonna keep these censored, you know. I feel like I shouldn't risk it. Now we finally reached the day I was most excited for on the whole trip, where we visit Cien Khan. Now, Yucatan is a biosphere preserve located on the coast of the Yucatan, and is the second largest one in Mexico, second only to Cocmul, also found in the Yucatan. And its main habitat is mostly lagoons. And I was excited to, be able to take a boat around here, see all the wildlife and whatnot. We started by getting on a boat and driving through like one of the main lagoon areas that we could visit. We only saw like a very small portion of this. The first animal we were going to try and check out were some manatees. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I got any of them on video. They're a bit shy, and the water's pretty brackish, so it's hard to see them. Maybe one of these blobs is a manatee. We didn't really see them too often. We did see a couple of them. I did see a couple of them clearly, and that was cool. Manatee. After that, we take the boat around, drive around the lagoon, and this is another one of those just vibe spots. We do see some fish, but the main animal we see here are a lot of species of birds, because they're above the water and like all flying around. And we check out this place called Bird Island. You'll never guess why it's called that. Actually, we also saw a crocodile here, poking its snout above the water. A lot of birds on Bird Island. And then after Bird Island, we head on out, go into a more open area and try and spot some dolphins. Now, unfortunately, here we didn't see any dolphins. What are you gonna do? So then we keep taking the boat all the way out into like the water, and there's like these two tiny little islands, just trees pretty much. A couple trees in the middle of the water. I think this is the first I've been from a mainland on a boat, maybe ever? Now, it took us to a snorkeling spot. Apparently there's a couple places that they take people on tours to, and this one is like the cool special one because you can only visit about 100 days out of the year due to the weather conditions, and we had the right weather conditions to visit. So, we got to go snorkeling out here in the Caribbean, and this is what we got the GoPro for, mostly. Now, unfortunately, the snorkeling footage we got here is not very good because, well, we didn't realize when the camera was actually turned on, so rip. Enjoy these highlights of thrashing. Then we head on back closer to the land, go like to a shallow area to go just do a little swimming, feel our toes in the sand, And on the way there, we spotted some turtles, and the tour guide was like, "Oh, look, turtles! They're having sex." Disappointed that we wouldn't be able to get a bit closer to them since, we don't want to disturb their privacy. Then we have lunch in a little settlement of Punta Allen. It was lunch, and after a little break of just kind of like hanging out on the beach, we walk across Punta Allen to reach the boats. While we were eating lunch, the boat drivers went all the way around and picked us up at this other dock. The land strip is so narrow that it was just like a 5-minute walk across. This is another bird you're seeing up here, and that's a woodpecker. That's neat. Get in the boat and head back on through the lagoon to where our van was. What's interesting is that there is a road from where we got out of the van to Punta Allen, but according to our tour guide, it is quicker to take a boat because the road quality is so bad. I mean, also we're sightseeing, but on the way back, we get one final surprise. That's right, there's dolphins! Look at them! Now, dolphins may, unironically terrify me a little bit. They're like the sexual predators of the sea or whatever. Well, I guess a few mammals are. It was still really cool to see them, jump around and whatnot. And our tour guide was definitely excited about it.
Thank you!
cool way to end off the day. This boat was covered, but once again, we're not allowed to wear sunscreen to, you know, avoid damage to natural areas, to the reef. I was cooked because I was like half covered by the boat, so my entire left side was pink. And I got the worst sunburn maybe of all time, maybe I've ever had, because I peeled twice. I had 2 distinct times where I started peeling, which is gross, but like... But as we drive back on through Tulum, it's nice to like sit back in the van, until you see one of these really unsettling... It's really nice to sit back in the van until you see one of these really unsettling signs that's just like, you can't take it with you? What does that mean? Why is it in the same style as like every Mexican road sign that says like reduce speed, except it's entirely in English? This also isn't the only one I saw in Tulum. It's the only one I could get a pic. The only one I could remember where it was on Street View though. There's another that said observe your intentions and trust yourself. What the fuck? Why are these in English? Why are these here? And thankfully our next day was a bit of a rest day, so we were able to like stop, just kind of sit around, maybe go out to the beach. Like, I know it's a little bit baity to put I Almost Died in Mexico in the title, but like, honestly this sunburn might kill me. Gonna give me skin cancer years later.
I think it's a kind of a good place to wrap it up. There's still a lot to cover, and this video is getting kind of long, so it looks like it's gonna be a 3-parter, which, you know, means next time on Goshen Man. As they head off to the final city, there are many questions like, will Ocean Man get in an ATV accident? Will he disappear in this cave? Will there be better snorkeling footage? Is this ferry going to end in a musical disaster? What's going on here? Also, what is Coco Bongo? Like, seriously. Thanks for watching. I did decide to make this one a 3-parter since there's like 3 more days left and there's a lot to do. Watch part 3 if it's out. Go watch part 1 if you didn't see that one. What are you doing? Or watch another Goshen Man video. Or any of my other stuff. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Follow all the social media in the description. That'd be cool. And see you later.